All right. Next up, we have
Excellent.
another old friend, Chris Leon. Uh, Chris,
Hey,
look
man.
at you!
Hello!
Look at you with your
How's it
goatee.
going?
Aren't you cute? Chris, I'm so happy to see you. I saw you on the list and I was like, yay, Chris made a game. Chris was in, I think, the second IndieCade, right? In 2009? The
2007, I volunteered at IndieCade E3, and then 2010, I had a
Oh,
finalist.
you were,
But
yeah, in 2010, you had Feel for It, right?
yeah, 2010 was Feel for It. Yes.
Yes, it's so good to see you. What have you got for us today?
Well, sure. So I can go ahead and start screen share.
Absolutely.
What I've got is something called Wings Tail. And really, what I'll emphasize today is as much as the game, really, it's our approach. It's another way of doing sustainable game development. It's another way of teaching game development. I'm kind of at heart, first and foremost, a teacher as much as a game designer. And so a lot of my approach has been for years now teaching by building games with people. And it's very much this kind of thing like we learn from our peers as much as we do from a person in front of a classroom. And so these are also mixed experience teams. And basically, from the start, I was writing a picture of the most bare bones, simple code you can imagine. All globals, nothing contained, nothing encapsulated. Going through just kind of layers of simplicity to get this little bit of code set up as a prototype, and then inviting people online. We have a whole pitch process to get people to build the game together with us. And there's how the game winds up. It's called Wings Tail. And if I check out the credits, we've got our 25 or so collaborators from around the globe who helped each other out with
Wow.
this. And part of what's so important to me for these kind of credits is that they're all super duper specific. We don't have a pile of programmers or a pile of art.
Hmm.
Since fundamentally we're doing this kind of for fun and for learning, people want to know, what did you do, whether it's a recruiter or family member. And so I go back through the Git history and am super specific. But it was not something I just did alone. It's something that a bunch of us did together over a very long schedule. And speaking of this, I will just kind of show the game first. So uh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you, so did you make like the core tools or code and then the group built on top of it?
Yeah, so what I did, and this is something I'm just sort of another lead in the group. It actually runs a lot like a college group I started over at Georgia Tech while I was there,
Yeah,
where the
sure.
project lead sets up the prototype, and it's kind of enough to kind of hand wave so people can look at it and be like, oh yeah, it's one of these. And there might even be some smoke and mirror stuff. There might even be we're fully expecting to gut and replace a bunch of this, but to get people on the same page, is this isometric? Is this 3D? Is this Unity? Is this Godot? Is this
Hmm.
JavaScript or whatever? And so this was literally the version that I pitched with, which let me refresh. So we had a little animation code, some collision stuff happening, but there's no rhyme or reason yet to authoring the content or things.
Hmm.
We built the Trello schedule, and this is part of our process. I got this muted here just to kind of show our, at a high level, our
Hmm.
schedule. We pace it out super low key. We all know we've got jobs and school and families and other stuff to juggle. And so we just spread it out. So, as long as we hit these 2 or 3 things a week, by 4 months from now or whatever, game comes out. And that's where we get to this output here of, I'm going to actually have the AI play with me.
Great.
Let me mute my tab. Mute.
It's a two
But we've
point.
got so this is actually playing with the AI, and this was actually inspired by a game I rented as a kid called Legendary Wings. If people recognize kind of this shmup-looking thing with the angel-looking characters, but the thing was I was really bad at it, and so I didn't get very far, and I never learned anything about it. But it always fascinated me, and part of the kind of inspiring vision was just here's what I thought it was in my little kid brain, having no
Hmm.
idea where this game went and what happens in it. And so we just have this kind of ludicrous story of you blow up the moon. Let me skip ahead here to our first boss. Part of the core design for us, we really wanted to do bosses. I find shmup bosses fascinating. They got a ton of custom code, ton of fun design opportunities. But if you don't build them in from day one, they tend to get cut because they do require so much special stuff. And so from the outset, we kind of knew we have our 4 zones. Each one's got a boss in it. This is our first octopus boss. And let me just give myself a few cheats here to knock him out faster. Boom.
Nice.
And we got our little retro explosions. We got our and it's also it's a super forgiving game. It's something that's meant to just be played, for fun. So every time you die or get eliminated, you just lose your power ups and keep going. And this is something also I enjoyed playing about like Halo growing up as a kid with co-op with my friends. It was very forgiving. As long as one of you was around, you just got to keep playing. I find the mentality for co-op games is often really I just want something to do with my buddy, right? I'm not trying to get good at this. I'm not trying to master a skill. I just want something to do while we talk and hang out. And so that's part of why we have the AI player. So even if you're just, maybe COVID times, don't have a local friend with you, you can still kind of feel like, oh, I'm not here alone. I've got a person in the battle. Let me skip ahead here to our second boss. And so each one of these is kind of an opportunity to help people learn ways they wanted to do their thing. We try to kind of model our teaching off of do whatever you want. This is part of our process of each one of these bosses. Someone came up with, I have this thing I want to do. And then I kind of, as a teacher, help answer the questions as I run into things about, okay, well, I need a turret to be destroyed separate from the other pieces. How do we do that from code? And we help solve that problem with them. And this one actually is also a multi-stage boss. This is not even its final form, as one might say. Let me do a quick little power up, knock off these extra turrets. And it goes into stage 2, where it's got additional types of attacks happening and those sort of things. If I just real quick skip over to our, you got a moon stage. Our story is starting from the Earth. We go into space. We go to the moon. We have a giant gross frog boss with a little baby frogs on its back. I don't know if you've seen frogs doing this. I find it disgusting, but that inspired this boss, which once again, we have some stages. It's also kind of part of the fun of a multi-level experience level team. We have very experienced coders, new coders, where the newer ones can kind of piggyback code and functionality by the other one found a way to get multi-stage bosses working. Aha, I can model it over here in my part. And that kind of helped us kind of, again, learn by example from our peers. And then our final stage here, our lava. Go to the very end of it just for our last boss. This one actually worked on a plane on my flight back home to LA from a little trip we took. And it was just, I always found these things that Contra would do, those snake necks, compelling. And I just wanted to have a try at it. So let me knock out my, again, mega cheat. And boop, boop, boop.
So
And then the ending is
cool.
we destroy the moon.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. This is awesome, and I'm glad you walked us through the development process because it's really quite unique. I mean, as someone who, was one of these people that could do everything themselves, I think it's so lovely that you've entered into this kind of crowdsourcing way of making games. It's really, really cool. And thanks again, also for you have been such a big part of IndieCade ever since you got involved. And it's fabulous to see you, and thank you so much.
Yeah. I'll see you at the closing today.
Yes. See you later.
See y'all.
Next up,
Thank you,
we
Chris.
have. Oh, I didn't ask where we could get it. Chris, where can we get it?
Sure. So it's one of our home team game dev games. So hometeamgamedev.com/games will get you that, as well as 130 other games we released in the past 6 years.
Fantastic.
All free. Bye, y'all.
You're awesome. Bye. Okay. Next, we have a Dean